everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. We are here with our next episode of On Friendship. This is a show where we look at a movie or Hallmark-like movie, and we talk about them from a perspective of relationships rather than just purely romance. And we talk about all different kinds of relationships, including friendship, of course. And it's so much fun. And we have the expert on friendship with
Oh,
us.
yay. Hello, everyone.
Alysa Lucas is here. Thank you so much.
Of course. I love being here. You know that.
Yeah, we always have so much fun. And today we are talking about one of my faves. No, I feel like I always say that, but it is
Yeah, I was about to be like, this is like me with my students. Oh, this is my favorite class to teach. And the student would be like, you said that last class.
They're like
And
lies.
Lies.
But I really do like this movie. It is called How to Fall in Love, or called The Dating Coach, depending on where you watch it.
What is up with that?
Yeah, I think they're like one has the Canadian name and one has the Hallmark name.
Okay, what's the Hallmark name?
So How to Fall in Love is the Hallmark name.
I watched the Canadian version then.
But they're exactly the same. Don't worry.
Okay, I'm concerned.
Yeah. And this is from 2012.
Which seems like a million years ago,
Yeah.
but at the same time when I was watching it, I was like, what year did this come out? The only thing that made me question the time frame was the guy's best friend with the Bluetooth in.
Yeah, and
I
like
was
a
like,
phone and stuff like that are a
I was
little.
like, are we done with the Bluetooth yet?
Yes. And this movie, I really like it. I think that it's really well written. I think the stars have great chemistry. It has some emotional heft to it. That with the backstories of the characters and their relationship, and I just really enjoy it. I think it's really good.
Where would you put it? Is it in your top 10? Top 20?
It might be non-Christmas in my top 10. Yeah, I think so.
Now you have to clarify, right?
Right. I mean, if it was a Christmas movie, then it would be way up there.
Probably be number 1.
Yeah. And I think as a perpetually single person, I think the whole idea of the dating coach is very, very appealing. The idea that you could just like go take some classes and that's it. You figure it all out.
Yeah. Well, it's also got to be the right kind of coach because it seems like it could go very bad very quickly.
Well, we'll talk about the original dating coach that he goes to.
Yeah,
That was a
exactly.
disaster. But let's dive in. Let's talk about it starts out with the flashback to high school. And I think they did a very good job, especially with him. That young actor looked a lot like him, I think.
Yeah, what is the actor's name? I just don't know how to pronounce his last name. It's
Eric Mabius.
Mabius. Okay. So since we're talking about the beginning, so the first thing is you see him as a young Harold and he's like Dorkfest, right? And he clearly has a crush on the prettiest girl in high school and they're going to a dance and he's in a suit and she's like in jeans and I was like, oh, this does not look good. So first scene, he basically gets friend zoned. But what I was thinking the whole time is, how are they going to make Eric, wait, say his last name again?
Mabius,
thank you. How are they going to make him like dorky like this high school Harold? Because that's not what the vibes I get from the actor, right? And I mean, it's called acting for a reason, but I was like, this isn't going to work. And then immediately I was like, this is perfect. This is one of the best makeover movies I've ever seen, right? You know, the joke is always like, she's all that, like, basically you change her hairstyle and she's completely like done over.
Get rid of her glasses.
Exactly. Glasses and like, you know, a scrunchie and she's but like I liked this and I know we'll talk about it more, but I really was like, there's no way they can make him like awkward. And then I was like, oh my God.
Flashback.
I was like, he's so awkward. Not just as a high school student, but like present day. I was like, oh goodness gracious.
Yeah, they did a really good job and he did a good job. And Eric maybe he's a really, I think, good actor. And if you think about the different roles that he's played, whether it's here as Harold, where he's really awkward, whether it's Daniel on Ugly Betty, where he was
Mm-hmm.
more the like confident, but he had his own insecurities with his father and everything. And but it's a different role. And then at Signed, Sealed, Delivered, which is a great show that Hallmark
Mm-hmm.
has done, he plays the head of the Dead Letter. There's Oliver, the head of the Dead Letter division in the show, and he's a different kind of nerdy than Harold.
Yeah.
Oliver, he's confident in his nerdiness, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. Whereas like Harold is
Harold
not.
is not. Like, Harold isn't so much a nerd, like, the things he's into is cool, it's truly self-confidence that would lead us to believe based on the flashback is where I mean, he had it then, but it sort of stunted his growth, if you will,
Hmm.
based on being friend-zoned by someone he had a big crush on, which was absolutely seemed to be devastating for him and something that he clearly remembered in present day. So I guess
Yeah.
my point is like right out the gate, I was like, how are they going to even make him awkward? And then I was like really impressed. So then I was like, okay, I'm ready to watch this movie. Cause I was like, if they can't make him awkward, I'm out of here.
Yeah. They did a really good job because yeah, you're right. He's not like nerdy in like
He's just
all
not
he's
confident in himself. He
yeah,
can cook. He's a great photographer. He seems to be a very kind person who helps people with their
taxes.
financial whatever he
Yeah.
does.
And there I got the impression he was an accountant of some kind.
Yes, yes.
And he's obviously a loyal friend. He has relationships, other things, but just particularly with dating, which I can completely understand because I feel like I'm a very extroverted, very confident person,
Yeah.
except for with dating.
Yeah, well, dating is a hot mess. Have you tried it?
It's really
Have you
hard.
have you
I all of a
seen
sudden
it
get
in
like
the
really
last 5
quiet.
years?
Yeah. Like I don't know what to
Have
say.
you been on Bumble lately? Oh my goodness, what a hot mess express, right?
Yes.
Now we need a dating coach in 2021 because I wonder how that would look different.
Yeah.
Because first off, you probably ain't meeting anybody in a coffee shop. It's probably like an app and like how do you do that? But I think
Yeah.
there was a Netflix movie like that with Damon Wayans Jr. maybe and oh I forget what it was called. It was Hallmark like on Netflix, but it was more about like dating, in
Mm,
the present day.
yeah.
But it just feels like yeah, how do you start a conversation? What about rejection? All those things like seeing the same person over and over and at the things you do daily and never being able to like start up a conversation. Like that's just the least of
Hmm.
our worries now.
Yeah. I mean, it is true that now by the time you go on the first date, you know so much, unless it's truly a complete blind date. You know
Yes.
so much about the people that you're going on a date with, and from their profiles or from their social
Mhm.
media, other things. Almost everybody has a blog or a podcast or something like that.
Yeah,
So,
there's probably people out there that know a lot about us, Rachel.
yeah, no, no, no question.
But it's like,
I
ooh,
I came at peace with that a long time ago.
I'm fairly open, so what can
Yeah,
I say?
yeah. And so he's helping Annie, Brooke D'Orsay's character, he's helping her sister with her taxes. And she invites him to her little girl's birthday party. And she says, "Oh, my sister's going to be there. Maybe you'll like." And
He's probably like,
he's
"Oh
like,
dear God,
okay, I guess."
let's relive freshman dance when I got friend zoned again." That's exactly
Yeah,
what I wanted to do at 2 p.m. on a Saturday.
yeah.
At a
And I
children's party, no less.
And I like it because they didn't make her like a mean girl or anything. She just was like, in her eyes, just having fun.
She was
Like she
15. Like,
she
what are
wasn't
you gonna
trying to
do?
be mean.
No, it was what it was, like, I thought she might be a little bit more, what's the word? Observant, but not everyone is, and so
Especially that
she
age.
truly she truly was like, she's 15 and, and he's wearing a suit. Like, what do you do?
Yeah, I
You want to
mean,
hang out with all your friends, not just one person.
it seems like there was a miscommunication that, like, she didn't really realize it was a date,
Yeah.
and he
Until he
obviously did because
showed
he has
up.
corsage and the
And she
everything.
was wearing jeans and he brought a corsage. Oh my god.
Yeah, and he was such a cute little kid in his suit and
He
everything, you're like, and his curly hair.
he looked
Very
exactly like a Harold to me.
uh-huh, it was very well done, they did a great job.
Yeah.
Um, so we find out he's been avoiding women. Every time I ask a woman out, it ends in disaster.
Mm.
And his friend suggests a dating coach.
The friend with the Bluetooth, everyone.
Yeah.
Like, can you take it out for 5 seconds? No, it's always
No.
in his ear. Always. He is a man of business with his
That's right.
Bluetooth. So annoying.
Yeah. And he's married and is kept very busy by the wife and kids. But he was funny. I mean, later on when he's like complaining about the exercising, I thought that was funny.
Yeah, so he wants his friend to get a dating coach, but not in the sense that it might change his friend into something positive that his wife is then like, "You should do that too." And he's like,
Yeah.
"Wait, what? I thought this was about Harold getting a date. It wasn't about me getting in shape." And when he talked about wanting to sit on the couch and watch TV, I was like, "I am with you 100%." I would
Yeah.
also like to sit on the couch and watch TV. Thank you very much.
Yeah, he brought a lot to a small role. I thought he did a good job. And this movie, when I interviewed Eric Mabius a while ago,
Oh.
he said that this movie was written by Bart Fisher. We know that, and he is a producer actually over at Hallmark. He's done a ton of different movies for them,
Mhm.
and he just decided, I guess, he was going to take a crack at writing. This was his first
Mm.
his first film that he ever wrote, and I always think that there is a certain degree of energy that you get with new writers
Yes,
that brings something special, and I think that you can see that here. And
absolutely. I think you sharing that information here makes you go, there's something about wanting to write something and not having done it yet because you have these ideas in your head where it's not that like someone who's written before doesn't have ideas, but there's something like this idea had to have been hanging in his head for a while. You know what I mean?
mhm,
So that's really cool though. Like
yeah,
this is his first movie. I didn't think there was any, you've I don't want to say you've made me watch some movies that were questionable. I'm thinking the Bly Danner one, although I
I
love
know
Bly
you'll never
Danner.
forgive me for that one.
Nope. Forever will be like, remember that Bly Danner movie you made me watch? Boy, did we have a lot to say though. But like this, like all the time, like any TV made for TV movie, like, I might give it some critiques, right?
Mhm,
But like this one, truly, like there was no bad writing. The chemistry was really good. So that was pretty exciting to see a movie where I was like, I don't have anything negative to say.
yeah, and I think it helps too a lot casting Brooke Giursay because she is just so innately likable.
She's adorable.
Yeah,
Can we bottle that up and sell it? Oh my gosh, she
yeah,
was adorbs.
and I have to say, she's been on a bit of a bad luck streak with Hallmark. I
Oh,
know, like, it's been a while since Miss Christmas that she's had one that I've liked, and she's always great.
no.
She's
Yeah,
always very likable, but it's just these scripts that are letting her
yeah.
down.
Some Hallmark people listening, you give her something good because she's adorable, said the person who
Yeah,
doesn't watch Hallmark
yeah.
all the time.
Because she
I'm
could be
still a
an unlikable
newbie.
character here. Like, if it was a different actress and we weren't willing to kind of forgive
Yeah,
her,
yeah.
then it would be a different story, but we like her so much just from the outset, and, uh, that helps a lot, and their chemistry helps a lot.
Well, and what's interesting is that it sort of set up, not only was there like this friend zoning incident that he remembers, because I swear to God, at her niece's party, I swear she didn't know who Harold
No,
was.
she doesn't.
She's like,
Like,
I have no recollection of this, but he remembers it like it was yesterday because it was
mhm.
devastating to him, right? Which again highlights like she was 15. But so we have
Yeah,
this event where, depending on perception, maybe you see it as purposeful or mean or, whatever the thing is. I didn't see it that way, but some people might. But then you also have, she's living with her sister
yeah.
and her niece and her sister's husband, and you get a lot of kind of, for lack of a better word, hate from the sister. So
Yeah.
from every sort of main angle of this movie, we should hate her. And we
Y
don't, because it's
yeah,
like,
the
give her a
sister
break, she's adorable.
the sister dynamic is really interesting in this because I have 3 sisters,
Mhm.
and I'm the oldest as of the girls in
Whoa,
my
did you
family.
resonate with the
Yeah, oh,
sister
yeah.
then?
It definitely really resonates because, I mean, I never really resented my any of my sisters, but you have different times in relationships that are stronger than others,
Mhm.
and then you grow and you change, and that's just part of being in a family. And I can see how I can see both of their perspectives.
Yes.
How she felt like, oh, the younger sister gets away with murder and is always kind of perfect, whereas she feels like, well, the older sister she's always been compared to
Yeah.
and is always got everything together, and she can't get a job, and all these different things, and I thought that was an added layer to this
Yeah.
movie that you don't always see.
Yeah, and I have to say, I don't have sisters, but I am the youngest or the baby of the family, so some of it did resonate, but
Mhm.
I don't think I was compared to my brothers in a way that, siblings of the same gender might be, right? Like, why can't
Mhm.
you be more like your brother or your sister? I don't think I got that with my brothers. I think maybe my brothers had that more between each other, and not even my parents, but like at school. Well, like, oh, I've had Michael in class, I've had Jeffrey, that. So I can understand that. I haven't had that experience because I'm the only girl, but I did was like, oh, look at this hater's gonna hate. I did resonate a little bit as the baby of the family. I'm like, sorry, we're awesome.
Yeah. I mean,
But
I
I love the
definitely
husband comes in. He's like,
yeah.
think about it. And I was like, oh, and you didn't get yelled at for that. He came in, he was like, I think you might have a little something with your sister. And she's like,
Yeah.
no. And he's like, think about it. And I was
That
like,
was
you,
good.
yeah,
That was a good moment.
sure was.
Yeah. I mean, I can't really relate to not wanting your maybe when I was really young, in my 20s or something, then maybe I wouldn't have wanted my siblings to live with me, but at the time, my siblings were very young, so
Yeah.
almost except for my just younger sister. But um, now I would love if my family lived closer.
Oh,
My
yeah.
sister has one of my sisters has actually just moved back, which is exciting.
Yeah.
But for a long time, they were all my sister, just younger than me, lives on the East Coast,
Mhm.
and then I had my 2 other sisters were living in England for a long
Yeah.
time, so
Yeah,
you couldn't
no,
even really you had to think ahead in the morning to even have, like, even call.
well, and I think that the year of the movie comes into play here perhaps as well as a
Mhm.
layer, that maybe 9 years ago, it was like, maybe get it together, but now that we've been through a pandemic, it's like, "Listen, we're gonna let sister stay for a while because it's
Right.
hard to find a job," and I would still even think in 2012, you still see people like, college students or people who just graduated or older individuals move back in with their parents, and you have
Mhm.
sort of like, what do they call it? The sandwich generation. I think
Mhm.
that's something that family communication studies, where it's like you have your children and you're in the house and then your parents in the house or someone else is in the house. And so it's just like in some cultures, all the family lives together doesn't matter, right? In
Yeah,
America,
so I was
though,
gonna
it's
say,
like,
like, I think
why
in
are you
Mexico.
living in your mom's basement? Or, and I would
Mhm.
just think that she was only there a couple of weeks. I was also like, well, you calm down, because she does have a job, and like, I don't know. I kind of was like, you're being hard on this very adorable person who's working very hard.
Yeah, because she'd been there for 4 months,
That
and
doesn't seem like a whole lot of time to, like, figure things out, because the job market can be horrible.
mhm.
And, like, the only way to I just loved it. They kept calling it the city, and I was like, "Well, which one?" So they live in
Yeah,
this
that
smaller
was funny.
town, and, like, maybe her event planning would be better had she been able to live in the city, but she can't quite afford it yet. So I mean, I think she's really resourceful. Like, that's what the movie is about in a lot of ways. Like, she works at this restaurant, but then she also, and I know you want to talk about the first dating coach that was suggested by Bluetooth guy, uh, but she becomes his dating coach. And, like, in a lot of ways, that was really resourceful. Like, let me figure out a way to help people and use the skills that I have to help people. So,
Yeah, I think it's also different now because I think maybe in 2012, we weren't as much in the gig economy as we are now. Like, I
yeah.
feel like it's more. I mean, obviously, that's always been a certain degree of a thing, but I feel like it's way more common now for people to have a side hustle, for people to have, kind of doing what I do, where you have all these,
Mhm.
4 or 5 different streams of income coming in, and you make it all work together
Yeah,
as one thing, and that's basically what she would have had to do in order to be an event planner. You take a gig and you take a gig and you take another one, and
yeah.
sure, she could work for some other like event planning conglomerate, but that's not really what she wants.
But I
And so I think that it takes a while to kind of build up your client list and make that work. And
I don't think we had all the social media to the ease that we do now that would have
yeah,
made it easier for her to do that. And truly, I think, like, 4 months, like, give her, like, 6 months to a year. And, like, is she contributing to the home? Do you not have the space? Is it impacting your marriage? If it's just like, I wanna see her get out because she's the youngest, then it's kinda like,
yeah, then maybe you need to work on you a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, like, the sister was fine. I just was like, I guess I brought it up because we, like, back to your point a few moments ago, is like, we should hate her, not only from maybe the perspective of what happened at the dance, but also from her sister's point of view. And nonetheless, I did not.
Yeah, and the sister says that she feels like she's enabling her. And again, that could totally be a thing, but I just feel like, oh,
I think
it's
it
a
was a
little
little too
too
soon to
quick. Yeah,
call
too
it.
soon. But it makes sense though if she's feeling this resentment, why she wouldn't want her
Yes.
sister living with her. And so like she's a flawed character, but I did think that there was something there that was easy
Yeah.
to relate to. So
Yeah, and certainly if you have resentment or you're annoyed, then there will be a quicker reaction to things, because
mhm.
you're already pushing 50 miles per hour when other people might be at 10. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
you might just come back, like, when we're annoyed, everything is the worst, you know? So I guess I can understand her quick
Right.
reactions to her sister.
So she gets the job waitressing, and it's still not enough. She needs something else. And after meeting Harold at the party, she finds out that he's tried to go to a dating coach, and it didn't work out. And so she decides to suggest that she could be the dating coach because she has been on so many dates and dated so many people, which
Can we
could
just
mean that
say
she's
that should
bad at dating,
I was
actually.
gonna say, yeah, we should just take dating an experience as our, what's the word I'm looking for? expertise. But I like how she's like, I did research, and it was like a 20-second montage of her sitting in the same chair reading a bunch of different stuff, and I was like,
Right.
that tracks. She's done a lot of research. But she does,
But
to me, I like feel like she, as an event planner, has skills that I see in event planning students that I could see doing a job like this, right?
yeah,
Like, they're willing to communicate freely, come up with a plan of action, so but can we talk about that first coach? Wasn't that was like
that's right.
that was like a 900, no, like a number, a 999, like one you have to pay for, like $2
Yeah.
a moment.
Yeah.
Like there was nothing about him that they would have cared about other than his payment. And
Yeah, it
that
did
is
have the
not
feeling of
what you
like a tarot
need.
card, like a tarot card reader.
I mean, those can be fun, but
Mhm.
it was just seemed like it was like, just give me money. And I was like, no, Harold is too precious for you just to make a sale off of him. So let's
But
not
just
do
in the
that.
style of, like, her office and like, it felt kind of like a fortune teller, kind of
Yeah.
like, felt like that feel to
Yeah.
me, and yeah, and then she was just very, like, very intense.
Yeah. I was
She's
like,
like, "There's terrible things are gonna happen."
I sure hope this is not the coach he goes with. And then he was like, let me think about it. Which I was like, that is a no in Harold's world.
Yeah, yeah, she was funny, and then, so he decides to go to agree to this deal, and maybe that's one part that's slightly unrealistic, that someone that's like Harold would agree to do this to begin with, but maybe he's just desperate enough.
Yeah. I think, like, because his friend asked him to do it, I think there's a level of, like, my friend is trying to help me and I don't want to let him down and, let me at least see. But you could tell he was uncomfortable the whole time. And I'm glad he didn't feel like railroaded into it, because I think like people who want that help might be like, oh, this is the only person that can do it. And it's just going to cost this much money. And I have to be on the diamond program. And I think sometimes, like, because that's one of the first things they do cover when he does see Annie as the dating coach, is self-confidence. And I think a lot of times people might find themselves in situations where they felt like they couldn't say no. And so then they're trying to like cancel it later, return the top later, or whatever, because sometimes it's hard when you have someone who's trying to like railroad you into the diamond program. I mean, if anyone out there is like me, it's like you feel bad and you're like, "Oh, yeah, I'll listen to you." And then like 20 minutes later, you're like, "Why did I say I'd listen to him?"
Yeah,
And
it
then I'm like,
was.
"How do I get out of this?"
So she also works with Kathy Najimy in the working in the waitressing, who's a part-time actress, a full-time waitress.
Yes.
She was very, I thought she was funny in this.
Yeah.
And so the first lesson, as you said, is self confidence. And she starts by giving him a makeover. And they get rid of the glasses, which I don't know if I agree with. I think he looks pretty cute in those glasses.
I thought the glasses came back a couple of times. Maybe it was editing in the montage scene, but I think really what stood out to me is, I mean, there is a little montage scene with clothes and they're working out or whatever, but like she really does focus on like, what are things you like about yourself, right? Like, and really helping him communicate about himself, which,
Mhm. No,
first
yeah, I liked
off,
that. I just
as
like the
like,
glasses.
yeah, the movie enthusiast in me, in terms of makeover scenes, I was like, oh, we're actually going to work on someone's self-confidence. Fantastic. I don't think I've ever seen this before. The
Yeah.
communication person in me was like, hot damn. I was like,
Well,
look at this. He has to figure, like, she's helping him communicate, which is what he's struggling with. And
yeah.
so, yeah.
It was
But
kind of fun to see a man get a makeover, which is typically it's a woman getting a makeover in these kinds of
true,
stories.
true.
But I also didn't love the clothes she picked out for him. It was like
Some
this
of the
weird
clothes
casual
were
wear that I was just like, I don't
there were a couple things she did thumbs down to. I was like, "Oh, thank
know.
God," because other thing is, like, it's one thing to have a makeover and then people make over what they think you should look like
Mhm.
versus, like, you making over and feeling confident in the clothes that you have or that you pick out for yourself or that and so, again, it goes back to that self-confidence. But, yeah, there were a few jackets where I was like, "No."
Yeah, like weird sweatshirts and sweaters, and I don't know, it's strange. But
Hey, Julie liked it, okay?
yeah, that's true. So we'd like to take a second from this episode of the podcast to celebrate our sponsor of this episode, and that is the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast?
Do you want an inside scoop into what happens on the podcast?
Do you want early access to episodes and loads of cool perks?
Now is the time to become a patron of Hallmarkies Podcast.
By becoming a patron, you get to access our patron Facebook group.
You can request episodes or even be a guest on the podcast.
And most importantly, any patron can join our monthly movie watch-alongs with stars like Paul Campbell, Natalie Hall, and more.
It's as low as $2 a month to join in and become a special part of the Hallmarkies family.
Please consider, and we will love you forever.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
She makes him say 5 things that you like about yourself.
Work on that self-confidence.
Very cute.
Yes.
So loyal, considerate, hard worker. He likes getting in. He's like getting into better shape, and he has a nice smile. That was very cute.
Yeah, that I was, like, loving it because again, it's like, how can we expect to communicate with other people if we can't communicate about ourselves? And, like, if we haven't thought about those things or if that's a struggle for us, I think that's something that we can do our own little personal inventory. What are the 5 things we like about
Mhm.
ourselves, right? And I don't know, I was just like, was this writer a communication person? Because I was like, go you. And then when we get to some other parts, I was like checking it against, communication research and what I share in classes. And there were a lot of checks and boxes. I was pretty impressed.
Yeah, I mean, I won't put you on the spot, but it did make me think that what would be my 5 things,
Yes.
and I think for me, I would say I think I'm a good listener.
Hmm.
I think I am a good leader.
I like how you laughed before that.
It's because there are probably people who are like, "I don't know about that." I think I'm a good public speaker, which a lot
Nice.
of people struggle with that. I I I think I'm a good writer.
Yes.
And number 5, I think I'm a good friend.
Yay!
Perfect
I
for on
agree.
friendship.
Yeah, well, so that makes it easy. Like, okay, number 1, I think I'm a good friend. I think I'm humorous, so
Mhm.
I enjoy although I did get a review one time like, "How does anyone think she's funny? She just yells loudly and then laughs." That
You're
was
like,
a that
have a
wasn't
good
her
laugh, number 3.
I was like, whatever." That was like a student opinion survey on the class.
Oh,
I was like, from years ago, I was like, "What? I just yell loudly and then laugh? Who's
well,
that?"
I had a review that said I had a G awful accent, and I was like, I didn't even know I had an accent, let alone an awful one.
Yeah, you're like, "Excuse me,
Yeah,
what's
like,
my
wow.
Michigan accent?"
He
Okay,
was like, "I
whatever.
can't listen to her one more minute." I'm like, "Okay, fine, don't listen to me
You don't
anymore."
have to because there's a million and one podcasts, but
It's an optional
okay.
activity.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, that was 2. So, I think I'm a good friend. I think I'm funny. I think I'm good at making connections with people.
Mhm.
I think I'm supportive. That seemed
Yeah. I think you're
like
a
I
good
wasn't
teacher.
Yeah, I would say I think I'm a good teacher, although I'm nervous about teaching this semester. And I've been
Yeah.
teaching for 18 or 19 years, and I'm like, oh, I got teaching butterflies. And well, at this age, they're probably like teaching bats in my all dusty and crusty.
You're good with the metaphors. All right. Well, so then the second lesson is the breaking the ice.
Oh, yes.
And so that's that scene in the bar that you talked about where he goes up to the person and they're chatting uh and then he just doesn't have like a follow-up question.
She's like, I didn't think I'd have to tell you that once you introduce yourself, you have to have something else. So, can I say that her description during that is like you introduce yourself, you have a conversation, and then you ask them out is pretty much the basics of a conversation. You don't have to ask someone out, but like when I teach conversations to students, I'm like, you want to talk about upcoming interactions or, summarizing. And so I was like, oh, she's talking about
Yeah.
conversations correctly. Yay.
Well, when I was on my mission, there was this thing that they talked about called building relationships of truth. And the
Hmm.
idea is that you start with something that you find something that you have in common with a person that you're trying to build a relationship with. So,
Hmm.
say you're sitting and you're talking to somebody and they have like a Funko Pop and you a Star Wars Funko Pop. Oh, you like Star Wars? I like Star Wars too. Or oh, Funko Pops. I like Funko Pops too. Let's talk about that. And it's amazing how you just find something like, oh, you like the you like watching NASCAR. Oh, I've seen NASCAR before. Like
Yeah.
you just
It's,
find something
and it
that
can be so simple
it
because
really can.
I talk about all the time because I teach at Central Michigan University, and the thing there is like fire up chips is sort of like our cheer. And you could wear Central stuff anywhere, and you'll have someone being like, fire up chips. And it's like, I was like, there you go. You have a basis of a relationship. You have CMU in common.
Yeah.
Move forward, talk more.
Hmm. Yeah. And one of the great things about being a movie fan is there's always something to talk about.
I
Always.
think that's the case with TV too. Like, I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
"Oh, so what are you watching now?" And if it's like something I don't know, I'll be like, "How do I not know about this?" And then I'm
Right.
like, one of the things was when I first started teaching at my first job after graduate school is Mansfield University, and American Idol was popular then,
Hmm.
and I had never watched it. And so I started watching it because I knew that would be something I would have in common with students.
Yeah.
So TV, um, current events used to be something, but it's like,
Because people sometimes think that, well, I'm not interested in, say, you don't like Star Wars, a person's a big Star Wars fan. It doesn't really matter if you share the common interest with them. It's about learning why they like something. And that's such an attractive quality when people are paying attention and are interested in what you have to say.
yes,
So if you say this person likes Star Wars, you don't like Star Wars, you can be like, what is it that you like about it? Boom.
yeah. Well,
Conversation.
that's the thing is like, in my interviewing class, I don't just talk about job interviews or formal interviews. I think of conversations like these informal interviews. How do you get to know anyone? You have to ask questions, and you have to ask better questions than we normally do. And then when you ask a question, you need to listen.
Hmm.
Right? Those
Yeah.
two things are going to really help out. And when he started doing those things or maybe noticing them with Annie, things became better
Yeah.
for him.
Yeah. So he asked, what do you like to do what do you like to do for fun? Which is a very solid question. Good question.
Yes.
Probably even better than what do you do for your career? Because that's kind of boring. So I
Yeah.
asked them, so what do you like to do for fun? And then they answer the question, and then you follow up with oh, I've never played frisbee golf before. Was that fun? Or how did you get started doing that? Or, you bump back from with what they said. And it really goes a long way if you can learn
Mhm.
to develop the good listening strategies. And that goes into he gets Julie's number, this girl from the coffee shop. And then lesson 3 is the art of the conversation. And she says,
Mm.
start with drinks, public place, short time commitment, or like in the world of in the world of Utah, you'd start with ice cream.
Ice cream is yum, though, so that's
Yeah,
a good
start with ice
idea.
cream. It's just a little commitment, and so they get practice, and he does that practice session on Kathy and Jimmy, which I thought was really funny. I felt like
Yeah.
she ad-libbed quite a bit there.
Yeah, what
She
does she say? She likes
sounds like I'm
collecting
a jouster
animals'
at the medieval
teeth or
fair.
something? I was like, "What are we talking about?" I was like, "Did I go to Lifetime and didn't know it?"
It
Like,
was so funny, I thought. And and Annie's like, "It won't be that hard with Julie."
yeah, that
That
was
was
hilarious.
that
I
was
was
really
like,
good.
"What? Did I just start listening to a true crime podcast? What happened here? Animal teeth, what are we doing?"
And then in lesson 4, it's start sharing. So
Mhm. Well,
getting
yes.
he says getting
Self-disclosure, friends. I feel like I could show this movie in my interpersonal class and
I think
people could
so.
learn not just like she's the dating coach, but if you take out the romantic aspect of it, it's how to make a friend. It's how to make
Right.
connections with other people. And so I do have to say, if it hasn't been clear so far, this communication professor was impressed. I
Yeah.
was like, yes, I had no notes.
All right. Good.
No notes.
Yeah. And she says getting close to someone means talking about the things that matter to you. And
Yes.
it does make me kind of laugh that they make him a photographer because that's like the go-to in Hallmark. If they want to make you a creative type, you're a photographer.
Yeah,
There's
well,
so many photographers.
well, the thing about it is, like, everything else about him, like, he seems to be sort of locked behind this awkward 15-year-old boy that got friend zoned, right?
Hmm.
And I mean, and I've said that like 3 times, so it's like kind of like, okay, maybe it's time to get over it, but it was something that had an impact on his life.
Huge, yeah.
But his love for vintage music and listening to records and photography, there seems to be something else about him. There's layers to him, or there's things like maybe he'd be a photographer if he didn't have to hide so much, right? Like, I mean, he's like the accountant, which, I know a lot of people who are into accounting who are not these like cold calculated people, but I think that's sort of the stereotype, right? And that as a photographer, a creative type is going to be more of a free spirit, right? And I think he had both of it, but he just didn't really have the time to sort of, or maybe the self-confidence to let it shine.
Yeah. And really, and when it comes down to it, him and Julie just aren't the best match. Like
Ugh.
Julie loves going to the scary movies, whereas he's like, I'm closing my eyes through that part and that part and that.
Well, also, like, she got mad about going somewhere when he was clear about them going out into the woods or whatever, and then he wanted it to be in the morning, and then she
Yeah.
overslept. I was like, how old is she still being like, I got home from the bars at 2 a.m.? I was like, what?
What?
I
And
haven't been
she
able
loves
to
being
do
in the
that since I
city.
was like 24. The city. Yeah, which one? Like, what are
The
we?
city was the villain in this movie. Don't go to the city.
Well, I certainly don't live in the city, but it made me go, "It's like the capital of the state, the city? Like, what are we talking about here, people? Like, what
Yeah.
is this New
He
York City? Is this just like
Yeah, I
a
don't know if it's supposed to be like
random,
Portland or something like that.
moderately sized, random town like in Michigan, like Grand Rapids, or like what are we talking about?"
Yeah. But he does get a kiss on the cheek at this stage 4, and he really tries to, make something special for Julie, but she just likes dancing and likes going out. She's just different, and so they're not like the best match,
But he kind
but
of feels like he feels stuck in it or something like, "Well, I'm dating someone now, so it finally happened, so I guess I have to stay with her," or.
yeah. But then Kathy and Jimmy sees that Annie likes Harold, and she says, he has gotten kind of hot since she started working.
It's the confidence.
Yeah. And then lesson 5 is make her feel special. And he's evidently an amazing cook. Everything he makes a smoothie. And she's like, this is amazing.
I'm ready for someone to make me a smoothie every
Yeah.
day.
It's true that if you want to make me happy, make me breakfast. I'm so tired in the morning, and if
Yeah.
somebody makes me breakfast,
Yeah,
that will
and
win
then
my
I
heart.
just in my world, I just have 3 animals staring at me like, "So is he getting up to get us food or what?" Like, I'm like, "Notice none of you bring me anything, cats and dog." They just stare at me, willing me to get up and get on their morning breakfast, and it's super annoying.
So they go on this test date, and so that he can check out the restaurant and everything like that. And I loved her dress
Mhm. Yeah, it was
in
really
this whole
pretty.
scene. This like sparkly midnight blue, long sleeve cocktail dress. It looked so pretty to me.
Yeah, I thought it was really nice.
Yeah. And then we find out that Matt Schneider is the villain. He's the one who got to her first, so they never danced at homecoming. And that's when she first realizes what she did is here. And she says, I had no idea that I did that to you.
But she didn't do anything. That's the other thing that I think is tricky with, like, unrequited love, which I think is sort of what happened here, is,
Hmm.
like I said, I thought she might be more observant, but she wasn't, and that's fine. Not everyone is observant or, really on to, like, if someone likes them or not. Like, there are so many people be like, "That person liked me? I had no idea," like, so I thought she might be a little bit more observant, but honestly, she doesn't owe anyone anything, like, maybe it was just, like, it was hard for him, but, like, I don't think she did anything intentional. It doesn't mean that he
No,
wasn't
no.
hurt, but I do think intent matters, and there was none, in this particular scenario. So I'm like, "Well, you didn't do anything to him. He just really liked you, and you didn't pick up on it."
But I
So,
think she just sees him in a whole new way. Like there's just a
yes,
layer there that
where
she
she was
hadn't
like, "Oh my god,"
realized.
yeah, because she didn't even remember him.
Yeah.
At her niece's party. So it wasn't too long ago where she's, like, fully introduced to Harold anyways.
Yeah. And so they end up listening to music and they bond over Billie Holiday and Tony Bennett
Mhm,
and they say that you find the song that
mhm.
describes your relationship.
Aw,
Very
this
romantic.
song. My parents' song is, "Do You Believe in Magic?"
Oh, cute.
Because they went to that concert at Western Michigan University in, like, '68 or something like that. That's where they met. So that was their song.
That's cool.
Aw.
And so this is also the scene where she has it kind of out with her sister, and she
Mm.
says, "You've got so much to be proud of." And I think that's the other part with her sister is that she's kind of she lacks self-confidence and she feels like, well, her being a it seems like she's a stay-at-home mom and she's kind of insecure about that. And so I think that's also it's not just her being resentful of her sister. I think she's also insecure.
Well, I think also Annie is lacking some self-confidence that she's able to sort of poof up, if you will, or puff up. I don't know what the word is. Put
Mhm.
on a face, pretend, whatever you want to say, when she is helping Harold. But like, she seems pretty down on herself for not having a career, not having a relationship. She believes that her life is a mess, and it's like,
Yeah.
but she is doing things. She's trying to figure it out. Like, she's actively working on that at that restaurant to make money. She's actively helping Harold and making money there. And because of that connection, if we can go back to that, through Julie is how Annie gets her first event planning in the city.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
I
and
think
it's
like
it's
that's
interesting because
important to know.
she's kind of going through the same transformation that Harold is going in a lot of ways, even though she's the coach, because she's gaining her confidence and she's learning to communicate better with her sister and other people. And it's interesting to see that happen, when I mean, how often is that the case though, when the teacher is really the student and learns more than the I know that's true when I've ever taught Sunday school or anything like that, or even on the podcast. A lot of times I end
Yeah.
up learning, I think, more than the listeners probably do.
No, absolutely. And
Mhm.
as a teacher, I feel like I'll learn a lot as I prepare for classes by finding new examples, listening to students, reading students' work. There's lots to learn, and I don't think we ever just stop. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I think some people are more open to it than others, but if you're truly, in their case, truly trying to make a difference, like he's looking for a relationship and she's looking for, I think first would probably say career and then a relationship. She's really trying to make the event planning work. If you're open to making those changes, it's more likely to happen more quickly, I would think.
Yeah. And so lesson 6 is getting close. So we're talking about intimacy in this lesson, which, in the world of Hallmark, that's like, does that actually happen in relationships? Our
Yeah.
friends, Katie and Hannah, their podcast is called that One Kiss Means Forever,
Mhm.
because usually you just get one
That's all
kiss and
you
that means
get.
they're in Hallmark movies. One kiss means forever. And so this is kind of interesting. And I thought it was really cute when she's looking at all of his photography, and then he like checks his breath. I was like, oh, make sure. And and then they talk about giving you the green light, and then they kiss, and
Yeah,
it
I
was
was
really
like,
good.
"Whoa, the
Whoa,
dating
yeah,
coach." I'm like, "That seems to cross a line perhaps." But then again, not everyone probably is falling in love with their client.
no, yeah, I'm sure that actual dating coaches would probably
It's
cringe at
probably
that, but
frowned upon.
nevertheless. But it was good. They're both giving each other the green lights. So what are you gonna do?
Mhm.
And so then he has dinner with Julie, and they kiss. And he says, "All this time, I thought he was." Well, Annie says, "All this time, I thought he was a nobody." And she says, "That makes me a horrible person." And
Well,
then he says, "It makes you someone that obviously has the hots for this guy."
well,
So she's starting to realize that maybe she needs to be sort of more observant to the
yeah.
people around her, and not dismissing people so much.
Well, the thing is, like, let's not be harsh to, like, she doesn't need to be so harsh on her 15-year-old self. It's not like
Yeah.
this isn't like Never Been Kissed where they, like, set up a fake date for prom and then throw eggs at,
Right.
Drew
Yeah.
Barrymore. Like, that's horrible and
Mhm.
mean and bullying, or at least harassment, because
Yeah.
bullying usually lasts longer. But like, so it's like, don't be so harsh on yourself. But like, maybe, I mean, to be honest, she didn't remember him until her niece's birthday party. So in truth, she's only known him for a few weeks. And then it's like, and she's like, I'll help him because I need money. But then basically what you see is that they're working together and they become friends, and then it becomes where she has the hots for Harold. And if she would have been paying attention when she was 15, maybe they'd be together now, but
But it
doubtful.
works in the I think in the movie, having her kind of come to this realization that I don't know, her sort of her self discovery and growth, I think makes her very endearing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
And
think
so,
it
but then
also
Julie, she wants to go out dancing. She's not into that old stuff.
oh my god, so it's fine, but, like, is this, like, the first well, she was, like, the version what do you call the bad man of business?
Yeah,
She was the bad woman of the city, I think.
yeah. We need to get the Hallmark movie about Julie finding her true love in the city, going
No,
dancing.
I don't find her endearing or adorable.
Oh. But she's just not in love yet. So when she finds her man in the dancing in the city, I mean, it writes itself.
You're
But so
like,
lesson
"Sequel."
7 is compromise. So she gets the job, the event planning job, and since you gave in on the dancing, invite her to spend time doing something you want to do. And who wouldn't want to spend time with you, Harold? And he says that's the nicest thing anyone has ever said to me, which is super
Aw.
cute.
Aw.
Yeah. So he takes her
Sweet.
out to shoot photos. We find out the magic hour in the early morning, all
That they
very romantic.
missed.
What's that?
Well, when he does it with Julie, they miss that time because
Right. Yeah.
she
So that's the second
overslept.
time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is that, like, but when he does it with Julie,
Yeah.
it doesn't work out right.
And so she says that she wants to use the photographs for the event, and they end up dancing again. And but then he sees her with Matt Schneider,
Oh
and he gets
no!
very insecure.
Takes him right back to that dance all those years ago.
I did think it was a little stalker-ish, though he had that whole like collage of pictures of her. That was a little weird.
I thought they looked like they hadn't been, I don't know. Like, it was a little weird, but I also felt like he took photos and then he was gonna give it to them. When, like, he gave it to them later, I was like, oh, maybe they just weren't cut yet or something.
Just
I'm gonna
the
give
whole
Harold
collage.
a benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. Okay, so then we have lesson 8 is follow your heart. And so they celebrate his graduation from the program, from the dating coach. And she says the golden rule is trust your gut, follow your heart, and always be honest. And this is when Julie goes on the photo shoot with him and she hates it.
Yeah, she was kind of annoying. My shoes are ruined. Are you done yet? I mean, what are you, like 7? Like, come on.
Yeah. Like, wear sneakers. What's wrong with you?
Get it
I mean, I'm not the
together,
biggest nature
Julie.
person either, but if I'm gonna sign up to, if I'm gonna agree to go on an activity, I try to, not
Dress the
be,
part.
yeah, dress the part and try to have a good time in some some fashion or another. But
Yeah.
then so we find out that this is when he sees her hugging Matt Schneider, who is Jesse Hutch, who is great. We love him in many roles. And she has an apartment, and he says, seems like all your dreams are coming true. And he's super mad at her.
Yeah, he was like not having it.
And so then her and her sister have a big conversation, and they both resented each other. We both want what the other has. And she says, will you teach me how to not be a loser in life? And this did make me tear up. Like, I felt like it was pretty authentic, and I liked it. I thought it was good.
Yeah, no, it was a good moment.
And she says, the man of my dreams is already taken.
Oh, Harold! Taken by Julie. Boo.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Julie and Harold break up, which was a pretty nice breakup scene. They did a good job. Yeah.
He was all like, you want to see other people too? This is great. I was like, that was the perfect reaction.
He's not going to go to the party. There's only so many times I can let myself be rejected by Annie.
But here's all my stalker photos I took. I'm just kidding.
And then so the sister says, Annie likes you. And then the little girl, Annie told mommy you were the man of her dreams. So cute.
Oh, yeah, that was a little cute delivery too. Yeah.
And I liked her dress at the party. She looked so cute.
Yes.
Little
her
red.
First event planning event.
Mm-hmm. It almost looked like a Christmas party.
It almost looked like a conference.
Or Valentine's.
Yeah.
That red dress.
Who knows what it's like in the city? I mean, it's quite different than small town USA.
It's true. And he speaks at the party, and he says, I liked my life so much more with you in it, and I'd like to keep it more that way. Mm-hmm. So cute. And they decide that I Want to Be Loved by Billie Holiday is their song. So.
It just reminds me of Clueless. Do you like Billie Holiday? I love him. She's trying to connect people. But I love it because not only that, but he was confident enough in himself and in his love for Annie that he did it in front of everyone at the event. in front of all his photographs.
So I give this a very high score. I mean, at least a 4.75. I think it's very, very solid.
Yeah, I have no notes, except the only thing that make it better is maybe like a cookie crawl. I'm not really sure. But like seriously, like even like the advice she was giving, I was like, no notes from the prof. I would show
a
this.
lot.
Yeah, I was like, who was the writer again? What's his name?
Bart Fisher.
Bart Fisher, you know what's up.
Yeah.
If you ever need a communication consultant, though, let me know.
Very good. Well, this has been a lot of fun. Oh, I wanted to share. I asked our patrons what they thought of this movie.
Does everyone love this movie? I feel like this is one that
yes,
everyone
this is a popular one. Casey, co-host Casey, she says, I love this movie. It's so adorable. From Scott Stone, he says, this is at the top of my favorite Hallmark movies. It is funny, sweet, and you find yourself heavily invested in our two main characters to get together as you watch their character arcs unfold. Thaddeus Foster says, I think that this is one of Hallmark's better rom-coms. In that with a few tweaks could easily have been a feature film. I agree with that. I think that this could easily, I feel like has all the elements there that
it wasn't. Why wasn't it?
It's just a made for TV movie, but
okay, now I have notes.
It says it had a very original concept for a Hallmark movie. The main couple had great chemistry, and I appreciated that both leads got pretty much equal time. And then Brencrow says, was unaware of it, added to Prime watch list, though the name changes can get confusing with the dating coach. And
I was like, what movie are we watching? I was confused. I had to check my text messages again just to be sure.
Yeah. And so then we also had a few comments on Twitter. Brian Ayer says, oh, you know us postables love it. It's the pre-Oliver. That'll make sense for you when you watch Postables. It's really good. You should watch it.
Okay.
ODC Corinne says, I actually liked it. Obviously seen this premise a billion times, but I found it to be sweet. Excellent movie. Cola208 says, this was a heartfelt, touching story. And so, yeah, there we go.
I think it was the comment from Scott. I think that's who it was.
Yeah.
That was like where you invest. Like, yeah, I'm like cheering on Annie and Harold and booing the sister and Julie. I'm like, like, you know, it's like you're cheering all the right people. You're booing all the right people. You're booing the city. You're like, yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, it was really good. Well, let us know what you think in the comment section or on Twitter. We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yes.
And Alysa, where can people find you?
I am friends with Alysa on the web, on Twitter, although it's friends W Alysa, Instagram, Facebook, and you can find my podcasts on your favorite podcatchers.
Yes, we'll have all the information in the descriptions. Check it out. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So please take a look at that. And also make sure you're following the podcast at Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. If you are listening on iTunes, please leave all of our podcasts a review. We really would appreciate that. But also, if you are listening on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have our Patron group, which if you want to leave comments and be part of the discussion, it's only $2 a month, and we have our patron watch-alongs, which are super fun, where we bring in talent, and you get to watch a movie and get behind-the-scenes details. And we've had people like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner. Really fun. Great deal. So make sure you check that out. We also have our merch store, which is a lot of fun. And so it's a lot of good stuff going on. And let us know if you have any ideas of what you'd like us to talk about for On Friendship next month. So thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.